What is up, man? I am so excited. I really am. Just got off a nice little couple segments doing some fancy talk. And listen, it is noontime. Well, actually, a little later, right? A little 5 after 12. Getting ready for fantasy football. Listen, man, I can't be any more excited. I really can't. I have been doing so much research. I've been doing so much prep work. I've been bringing DFS experts onto the show. Broken down every division going up to this point. And I wanted to say, you know what? There needs to be a presence on Sundays. And everybody does have one. I understand that. And I appreciate the love from everybody out there. I do. I mean, you guys are what makes this go. Again, look at the ticker on the bottom. I mean, give the accounts a follow. But we're talking fantasy, and there's so many fantasy implications that are coming across the pike right now. Last-minute injury reports. And this is going to happen all year long, which is why I'm going to be honest with you guys. I will not be putting out projections on Thursday. I will not be putting out stuff on Friday. I think it's useless. I do. The Thursday reports to me are absolute garbage. They are. I know people work their ass off at it, and I appreciate that. But for me, it's because it changes so much. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. Look at today. Let's start right off with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins. There's so many fancy implications right off the bat. Lane Johnson out. I mean, Driscoll gets his first start. Miles Sanders out. And here's what I want to talk right off the bat when we talk about what is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, the injury bug is hurting them, right? It is. And I want to ask everybody, do you trust Boston Scott, right? And I have to say that because from a Philadelphia Eagles standpoint, the problem with Boston Scott is you don't know if he's going to be the main guy. Corey Clement is healthy. Corey Clement has shown, listen, he was on Super Bowl MVP, basically. I mean, besides Nick Foley. I mean, he did a lot of work in that game. He did a lot of work in 2017. So we have to look at it, right, from that perspective of what Boston Scott will give you. I understand when he started a game before, he was electric. I get it. But you have to be careful. This is week one. And I'm not going all in week one on a I don't know, especially against a Washington Redskins team that is vastly underrated. Completely underrated. I mean, this is a team nobody's taken it to into perspective about how good their defensive line is. I mean, listen, all you have to do is got Adam Cap and Jeff Motion do a great job Inside the Birds podcast, and they actually mentioned it the other day about how they go 7 deep. Right? How they go 7 deep. And you're talking about an offensive line that hasn't been tested yet, right? Jason Peters swings back out the left tackle, which I love JP, right? I get it. I really like JP. But also, when you look at perspective, you have to take it and say, what else is going on the right side? Lane Johnson was your mainstay, and now he's not there. There is no Brandon Brooks. So this is a completely different offensive line. Now, when it comes to DFS, I will tell you that Deshaun Jackson, tremendous play today. If anybody's not starting Deshaun Jackson, you're crazy. He is a tremendous play today because we don't know the comfort level that Carson Wentz is going to have with any receiver except for Zach Ertz and Deshaun Jackson. So get him at $4,900. You get him in your lineup straight up. Right off the bat, that's who you go after, okay? You get him in there immediately, okay? And then on the other end, we look at Kenny Galladay out, right? Kenny Galladay out. Marvin Jones Jr., tremendous play today. I can't say it enough. I really can't, because you look at these plays today, there are certain games to me that stick out. How about the Indy-Jacksonville stack? Stack is a word that you will hear in DFS early and often. It is when you take every single offensive weapon that you feel will be productive against a team that is trash. And Jacksonville is trash. Okay, right now, they are trash. Phillip Rivers, Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle trending at 3,600 at DFS. He is a fantastic pick. Marlon Mack, Jonathan Taylor. Listen, I can't pick between the two of them. I'm going to be honest with you. First week, if I'm going standard fantasy football, if I'm going full point PPR, obviously the more upside is Jonathan Taylor. But you just have to stick with the vets in week one, in my opinion. There's no boom or bust in week one. You got to get a win under your belt. You got to start off right. So that, to me, that is one of the most important parts. But you also, T.Y. Hilton is trending under 6,000. Phillip Rivers trending under 6. Tell me somebody on Jacksonville that you're scared of. Tell me somebody on Jacksonville that can cover. And that's the problem. So I think this is going to be a tremendous game when we look at Indianapolis. I do. And on an adverse effect, you have to look at guys like DJ Chark and Gardner Minshew for the simple fact that if you need a streamlined pick, they're probably going to be behind. They're probably going to be throwing the ball a lot in garbage time, and garbage points will be of the plenty. Now, I will tell you, one of the guys I'm really high on is Chris Thompson. I think Chris Thompson... Chris Thompson to me is a very sleepy pick when you talk about Jacksonville. I know they're talking about Robinson and going with the rookie, but I think Chris Thompson will prove that he is the guy in Jacksonville as long as he can stay healthy. So that stack, I'm telling you, that's big. Now, Panthers, Raiders, firepower. Let's talk about that. Panthers, Raiders, firepower. And Teddy, listen. Teddy Bridgewater, he is who he is, but he did come in and he did play very well in New Orleans. Robbie Anderson has looked fantastic. For anybody who's followed, listen, one thing you have to do, and I will give this, listen, I don't want to give away all my secrets here, but one thing that you have to do is if you are very active on Twitter and you want to get up to the minute analysis straight from the horse's mouth, follow the beat writers for these teams. Follow the coaches for these teams. Listen to their press conferences. Listen to the coach speak, right? Listen to what they are doing. And if you listen to what everybody has talked about, Matt Rule, when he's talked about Robbie Anderson and the nucleus of I don't even know why I said nucleus, but with the relationship, the rapport he has basically built in such a short amount of time with Teddy Bridgewater will be fantastic. Those fronts will be up there in the box all day long to stop Christian McCaffrey. So when you're talking about a Carolina Panthers offense, DJ Moore took the next step last year. He is that number one guy. He is a guy that you can trust. But that number two guy, Robbie Anderson, is going to be going against the number two corner of every single team, and he is going to face single coverage. Look at what he did in New York with a bad quarterback, with a bad system, and look at just what he's going to do. What the vision of production is when we talk about fantasy when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. So North Turner is still there calling the plays, man. I'm telling you, Robbie Anderson is a great DFS pick today. On the other side, with the Raiders, Josh Jacobs, for my money, could very well be the offensive MVP in fantasy from the running back position. I understand you have Christian McCaffrey. He will be there year in and year out, but Josh Jacobs is a very special player. The Panthers were 28th in run defense last year. I don't think they have done anything to justify going up from number 28. So I am looking at a big dose of you-know-who, Josh Jacobs. Darren Waller will have another solid game and show that he is in the top 5 tight end conversation. So if you want to go out and you want to spend that extra coin instead of a Jack Doyle and you want to put it on Darren Waller, go ahead. You can do that as well. Listen, I mean, this is a game that I think is going to have a lot of firepower in it. I really do. I'm looking forward to that game. I am. Firebox plays of the week. Listen, there's so many. Okay, there's so many. I will tell you right now, when we talk about, DFS, okay, I can tell you right now, Russell Wilson for me at 7,000, he is my pick. Listen, that game, Seattle at Atlanta, I think is, even though it is in Atlanta, I still think that Russell Wilson is going to have a tremendous game, okay? Especially when we talk about the fantasy implications. I think he will have a tremendous game. Listen, Atlanta is a fantasy team, not an NFL team. They are going to be looking to chuck up points. And listen, on the adverse effect, Matt Ryan could probably throw up some points as well, but I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. So for me, Russell Wilson, he is my quarterback at DFS. I'm going to give you my lineup right now. My DFS lineup that I'm starting this week, Okay, listen, we're in a DFS DraftKings analyst league with people from CBS Sports. I mean, it's me, guys from CBS Sports, guys from RotoWire, RotoWorld. Okay, ESPN. Lot of talent in this league, and I'm curious to see what Week 1 brings. But I'm going to tell you my lineup. Okay, Russell Wilson is my quarterback. Josh Jacobs at 6,800 against a really big Carolina team. Austin Eckler is one of my plays this week. Austin Eckler against Cincinnati. Austin Eckler is going to be the man. You've seen what Austin Eckler did. You've seen his comfort level last year when Melvin Gordon was not into the fray. You've seen what he did. He looked like a different player when Melvin Gordon came back. This is a guy who needs the ball. It's the guy who needs the rhythm, and he will get it. Listen, he will get it. He will get the rhythm. I'm telling you that right now. He will get the carries. He will get everything he needs to be an exceptional play for this week. I am really looking forward to the points that Austin Eckler puts up. Devontae Adams, listen, this is what I do. I do my DFS lineups. I am one lockdown quarterback. I don't care. I'm spending the money. It's just like when I play baseball. I want a lockdown pitcher. I want to start. I want to ace. I'm not taking a chance. I'll pay the money. I'll fill everything out. Remember, in the wide receiver position, into the top 5, 6, or 7, you have a range of at least 20 guys that are going to be a couple points ahead of each other. That's it. You very, very good value at the wide receiver position. So I did go one big. I went Devontae Adams. I think the Minnesota secondary was garbage last year. They did nothing this year to take it up to the next step. They lost Everson Griffin. I understand that they did make some really good moves on the defensive line, right? You do have Yannick. I understand that, but I still think that they're very susceptible to the pass. Devontae Adams, listen, Al Lazard to me is the number 2, and I think he's a streamlined pick in DFS and in standard fantasy. A guy's a number 2 receiver, like a wide receiver 3 that you could throw out there. Is going to be very productive today, but Devontae Adams will get the lion's share of the touches. I think he's a very, very good play in DFS. Robbie Anderson, I already talked about. To me, for a guy under 5,000 against the Raiders, who in that game, it's going to be explosions, it's going to be fireworks, and I think Robbie Anderson is a good play. Marvin Jones Jr., here's another one, a guy that does not get enough respect, okay, because he plays on the Detroit Lions. Kenny Galladay is out. Okay, he is out. Chicago did nothing to bolster secondary up. They still have a decent defense. They still have Khalil Mack. We understand that. But I think this is going to be an interesting game, and it is in the Dome. So Matthew Stafford will be throwing the ball early and often, and Marvin Jones Jr. will be the number 1 recipient of all the targets. So right now in DFS at 5,500, I think it's a tremendous play. Jack Doyle, I've already talked about it. Jack Doyle, he's only at 3,600, and he's in that stack game, right? He's in that stack. He really is. What's up, Phil? Checking in. Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley anchor. You know, that's an interesting pick, Phil. It is. I like, because they are a fantasy firepower team. I love me some Calvin Ridley. I really do. But I went on the other end of that game, and I went Seattle hard, because I think Seattle comes in Russell Wilson all year in the offseason. What Russell said was, listen, he said he wanted to pass the ball more. So I think we're going to see a lot more through the air, and that's why I went Russell Wilson. But I don't think there's a bad pick in that game. I don't, especially depending on how you did your DraftKings lineup. I'm curious to see, who else is in there, because obviously Matt Ryan is cheaper than Russell Wilson, so you probably made that up at the running back or the receiver position. So I'm curious. Now, my biggest DFS play today, is Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson to me is a lockdown, stone cold lock to score today. He really is. $4,900 he's in my flex spot. And again, I finish this up at DFS. I have the Colts as my defense. The defense is late, but listen, again, playing Jacksonville, who's the bad team, right? That's what I always want to look at. Who is the bad team? So, when you look at DFS, you always have to find those values, right? You always have to find the values in all the lineups. You have to figure out where those values are going to come from. So there's plenty of opportunities when you look. Listen, I know Chris Carson is another guy to me who has tremendous value today. I think that Atlanta can be run on. I think that Chris Carson will obviously get the lion's share of the work. He's going to get 20 plus carries. So anytime you have a running back in a game where you have a team that doesn't have a tremendous defense, he's going to get the lion's share of the work. It's somebody to take a look at. Now, the one interesting play, a lot of people are high on Kenyon Drake. I'm not as high on Kenyon Drake this week. I like him, but the San Francisco front seven basically is really good. Really good. And I have a feeling, even though that they are injured, I know there's a lot of injuries on the offensive side for San Francisco. I still don't think Kenyon Drake's going to have as much success as people think against that San Francisco defense. Now, on the flip side, when we look at New England, listen, James White is a very intriguing option. Miami and New England historically always have good games. And we know right now this is a new system with Cam Newton. Remember, Cam Newton was very, very comfortable passing the ball out to the flat to Christian McCaffrey for the last couple of years. He was very, very, very productive getting that screenplay down. So if anybody's going to run the screen, if everybody's going to run to the flat, James White is going to be that guy. I can see James White getting 8 to 10 catches today. I really am. I know Julian Edelman is healthy. And Keel Harry is healthy. But I don't know what to expect from him yet. But Josh McDaniels, I think, is going to have James White running all over the field early and often. I think he is going to be a very, very productive play today when you look at the running back position. Now, I'm very interested to see the Nick Chubb and oh my God, the Nick Chubb and the Kareem Hunt factor. I want to see where these guys go. And listen, this is such a tough. Obviously, if you start in a PPR league, if you start in a standard fantasy league, and you drafted Nick Chubb high, you're going to start Nick Chubb. But when the luxury about DFS is you are allowed to pick who you want to pick when you want to pick, right? So you don't have to keep that guy in and week out. I'll be honest with you, I'm not starting either of those guys at DFS this week. I want to wait to see how this plays out. I might even wait 2 weeks to see how this plays out. At least when you were in Kansas City with CEH, you knew Andy Reid was going to give him the lion's share of the work. You already knew that. You don't know where this work is going to come from. And Cleveland, I know Kevin Stefanski wants to run the ball, and I know it's a different offense out there, but until I see it work, until I see it all come together, I am not ready to pull the trigger on either one of those guys. I can tell you that right now. The receiver position offers some really, really good value today. So Michael Thomas is obviously the top guy, but you have to look at Chris Godwin. I already thought Chris Godwin was the top guy. Okay, I did. I already thought Chris Godwin was the top guy. Now with Mike Evans basically on the snap count, and he's not 100%. Chris Godwin, Tom Brady's going to fall in love with Chris Godwin. He really is. He's going to fall in love with this guy because what Chris Godwin is going to do is Chris Godwin will continually take what is given to him in the middle of the field, which is where Julian Edelman and Wes Welker made a living as fantasy superstars under Tom Brady. So I think this has the makings to be the same exact kind of production. Chris Godwin was electric last year, and I think it's even going to be better this year, in my opinion. Now, what I will say is that a very intriguing pick, not for Philadelphia Eagles fans, is going to be Scary Terry. Terry McLaurin, listen, I understand we have the issue with Dwayne Haskins, and we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but he can still throw the ball, people. And the secondary for the Eagles, besides Darius Slay, we don't know what it's going to bring. So I think this will be an interesting game for Terry McLaurin, a guy that you may want to look hard at when we're talking about streamlining players, because he has every opportunity to be productive. Now, you go down the list and you look at other guys. Devontae Parker, to me, is another really good play. Listen, Fitzpatrick is going to throw the ball a lot. 6 defensive starters out for New England. 6. They all opted out. Guys that did not want to play this year. And that is their prerogative, and I understand completely. But you have to look at that. You have to look at that because Miami is no slouch. Miami can still throw the ball. Jordan Howard will still run the ball. So Brian Flores is going to have those guys out there. He's going to have those guys. Mike Gesicki, at the tight end position, that's another guy that you need to look at when you're talking about DFS. There's so many guys out there that are under a low value that you really have to look at. That's the problem. Everybody looks at the shiny toys all the time, and they don't look deep inside the stats. Look at the defensive ranks. Look at what they did last year. Look at what their system's going to be like this year. You have to look at that. Robbie Anderson, I talked about it. Tremendous play. I like him a lot this week. I really do. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown against Cleveland. Now, I understand we don't know. Cleveland's got a really good defense, but Lamar Jackson, 15 pounds of muscle, Marquise Brown put on. He was lifting. He was in the power room, right? He is a guy that you need to look at. John Brown, I really like John Brown this week. The Jets absolutely stink. They do. We all know that. They absolutely stink. They really do. And what I think is you have a guy in John Brown. Not only does Stephon Diggs help his value, I think he excels to another point because remember, John Brown had to be the guy last year. John Brown and Cole Beasley, they're two of the same kind of player. Cole Beasley is a slant guy, right, across the middle. I know John Brown has speed, but he's a short and go guy. They didn't have the guy that was going to command routes. Stephon Diggs is a precise route runner, and he will command attention all day long. This is going to open up things for John Brown, and I think Josh Allen has been working on his accuracy. I think Josh Allen will be a very good quarterback this year. He's not going to be great, but he's going to be very good. I think it's going to help John Brown tremendously. Look out. Larry Henry Jr., what is up, buddy? Check it in. My man from The Gambler, PI, does a lot of work. He was at the stadium yesterday watching covering the Union in a press box. My man, I love it. Always one of the hardest workers I know. Got Thielen and Juju. Listen, I love Adam Thielen. I love Juju. Juju, to me, gets 90-plus balls this year, and I don't know why people are against that because, listen, Pittsburgh's not going to win 12 games, but they're going to win 8. And Ben Roethlisberger is going to sling the ball all day long. And Juju was hurt last year, and he played with a bunch of dreck, right? Really, Hodge? Are we going to base Juju's year this year on what he did with a quarterback with the last name of Hodge last year? Come on, give it a break. Juju, to me, is the guy this year. I think he's going to be very, very good. Who's better option to flex, Metcalf, Diggs, or David Montgomery? Listen, I'll tell you what, man. Running backs get the edge due to more touches. Larry, these are the questions I tell everybody. It all depends on what the system is. Is it a full-point PPR league? Is it a standard league? Are we talking DFS? Are we talking standard fantasy? What are we talking? What is your scoring system? Because even if running backs get the edge due to more touches, if your system is standard, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling David Montgomery. I'm not. I really think that Tariq Cohen gets a lot of work again this year. I think that Nagy outsmarted himself last year, and he got away from, being unpredictable, and he became very predictable. And I think that's why that offense suffered. So I really think that we're going a standard fantasy league. That's hard, man. That's what I'm saying. So you're going to rely in that league, right? You're going to rely on touchdowns, obviously, right? You're going to rely on touchdowns. So I'm not sure. Detroit, they're playing at Dome. I don't know what that offense is going to look like. I don't think Montgomery scores this week. I'll tell you what. If I'm going, even though it's standard, I like Stephon Diggs a lot. I do. I like Stephon Diggs this week. He's one of my favorite plays. I do. I think that the New York Jets are such on an island on their own, and I think that they really listen. Revis Island is gone. There's nobody that scares you really. Justin, what's up, buddy? Checking in. McLaren or Marvin Jones. Listen, I'll tell you what. McLaren's value is all going to depend on Darius Slay. Okay, they're going to try to mix up coverages as much as possible, and they're going to swing McLaren around. What I will say is Marvin Jones to me is going to get everything this week. He's going to get every opportunity. He's going to get 10 to 12 targets. I really believe that. I like Marvin Jones a lot. I do. Chicago did nothing to me. McLaren scares me just a little bit. Here's the thing. McLaren scares me only because I don't know what to expect out of Dwayne Haskins, and I don't know where he's going to be lined up consistently. And I think that if he's lined up against Darius Slay, I think he's going to have a really, really hard time to justify the production that he's projected at. Now, Marvin Jones Jr. on the other end, you know what you're going to get with Marvin Jones Jr., right? That's what you have to look at. You have to look at, what do I get with Marvin Jones? And if you look at it last year, what did he do? 14 games. He had 7 games with 9 or more targets last year. Okay. Or I should say 7 games with 7 or more targets last year. He got the targets with Kenny Galladay. There was games where he had 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, multiple touchdown games. He's going to get even more this week when we talk about that. So I like Marvin Jones a lot. Mike, what's up, buddy? I'm rocking a Kelsey. Listen, I'm going Axeman right now, okay? I'm going Axeman. Jeremiah Trotter to me, I love him, man. He symbolizes everything in Philadelphia. Harry, what's up, bud? Listen, Harry, go Birds. Sorry about the Flyers, bro. The Flyers disappointed me. I know, but yeah, go Birds, fly Eagles, fly, and let's see if we can get it this week, man. I have a hunch it's going to be a really close game, but I really think that the Birds are going to pull this out, maybe by 1 or 3 points, but they're going to do it. But they get back to the fantasy realm. Listen, Marvin Jones, I like the question. It's an interesting question. You have to really look at, what the system is and what we're doing. So, Justin, to answer your question, I get long-winded, but yeah, absolutely Marvin Jones. Mike, checking in, so many injuries before week 1. Listen, Mike, I talked about that earlier. This is why I want to go live on Sundays. And this is why you will not see Jigsaw put out his picks on Thursday. I don't think it's worth it. I don't. They're going to change so much. And I'm not going to send out updates every single day. Listen, I'm not going to write an article on Thursday and then have to update on Sunday. Let's be honest, man. Who wants to sit and read an article for 20 minutes on game day? Who wants to do that? Right now, everybody watching right now, checking in, has got their TV on. They're looking at the pregame. They're ready to roll. They're not worried about reading. And listen, they can just hear and they can chime in. So that's what I want to do. Sundays, every Sunday, I will be here at 12 o'clock. We are going to go early minute. Harry, listen, Jeremiah Trotter. Actually, I'm sorry, man. He is my favorite linebacker, man, of Eagle. They should never let him go the first time. It's a shame that he had to go to Washington. I'm glad he got his money, but man, he's already symbolic. But I'll tell you what, that man, coming from Stephen F. Austin University, in the Ray Road system. I mean, that was a tremendous player, man. Jeremiah Trotter, he was amazing. I love him so much for saying preseason games because of injuries. And Mike, that's a problem too. And now you have the COVID issue, right? You have the COVID issue that is going to pop up. So, and we haven't been able to see anything. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, you really don't know. You don't even these guys like Mike Evans. At least you could see a warm up. At least you could see a practice, and you can say, okay, how's he look? You have nothing to judge, nothing. So I'm telling everybody right now, when you're doing your fantasy lineups, the best thing you can do is just look at the defensive ranks, look at the systems that they're playing against, and go by that. I'm telling you, you got to go by that. Look at their snap counts and look what they're going to be, because it's going to be really hard to go by the reports that come in, because there isn't not a lot. Mike, got to go take care of the kids. My man, I did that earlier. So, my man, you enjoy the game, Mike, as always, and we'll be live tomorrow talking about it. Thanks for checking in, buddy, as always. Listen, couple more plays before we get out of here. When we were looking at the wide receiver position, I think, Christian Kirk has a lot of upside. He's a guy that he is going to, he never had that number one like DeAndre Hopkins. He's had Larry Fitzgerald, but let's face it, I love Larry. He's not a number one guy, right? He is a number 2 or number 3 guy at this stage of his career. So he doesn't command double coverage. DeAndre Hopkins is going to command that safety. He's going to command that safety over the top. So Christian Kirk, what is that going to do? If you watch Christian Kirk, he likes to run the seam route a lot. Christian Kirk is going to be the seam guy. Think about it. DeAndre Hopkins is going to do everything. Larry Fitzgerald is going to be the slant over the middle guy. And who's going to be the seam guy, the up and out guy? It's going to be Christian Kirk. He is going to get a lot of love this year. And if he develops that rapport early with Kyler Murray in his second year, I think he has every opportunity to be very, very productive. So he's another guy that a lot of people aren't looking at. Now, let's look at, before we go, we'll look at a little bit at the tight end position. I'm in different leagues. Some leagues we have to start at tight end. Sometimes we don't. I think, this has the makings to be a big Zach Ertz game for the simple fact that I think besides Deshaun, who else is Carson going to throw to? The one thing I will fade on Zach is be careful. And I know he's not a tremendous blocker, but you have no Lane Johnson in there. You have a rookie guy making his first start in Driscoll. And, if anything goes to the right side, they're probably going to keep him in a little bit. He's probably going to have to chip block a lot. He's probably going to be in those two tight end sets. So he may not get as many targets as you're expecting, but I think he does find the red zone. Darren Waller, mentioned him earlier. Janu Smith, another one. Listen, there is no Von Miller in Denver right now, so their defense is suffering right now. Janu Smith, I'm sorry. Why am I saying Miller? I have no idea. Janu Smith in Tennessee, I think Ryan Tannehill will lock on him early. I do. I think early and often. I think he's going to have he's going to have a big role in Tennessee. Harry, second in, do you think the league will be watered down this year with some of the opt-outs? It's going to be interesting. I thought so, but I just don't think that there was a tremendous amount of opt-outs when we talk about a star-studded cast. I don't, if it was a lot of number one guys, I think maybe, but I think this year it's going to be a little different because there was no preseason at all. There was an abbreviated training camp. So even though that game on Thursday night was a high-scoring game, I kind of thought it was a little boring. It took me a little bit to get into it. But I think that on Sunday, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. I think these guys, they're great and they're ready. I mean, they're jonesing to get out there on the field, and I don't think it's going to be watered down. I don't. I think what you will see though, Harry, is you're going to see a lot of more injuries. You're going to see a lot of more busted plays because you're going to have a lot of guys. I mean, the New England Patriots have 6 guys, 6 starters that opted out on defense. That means they have 6 new guys coming in there and playing, which means there's going to be a lot of false starts. There's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot of bad snap counts. There's going to be a lot of missed coverages, missed assignments. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the NFL, and it's going to be really weird when we see fans. I'll tell you, for 16,000 fans in Kansas City, they made a hell of a difference to me. I cannot believe that was real crowd noise. So the only stadium right now today that will have fans is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is it. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens when we talk about that. So, yeah, I'm curious. I'm ready. I'm pumped. I really am. To get out of here, I'm going to, like I said, everybody tuning in. Listen, it's been tremendous, as always. I mean, you guys have been unbelievable. I have people have been sending me T-shirts. Listen, if you want to advertise, you have a small business out there, we have packages as well. If you have a small business, you want a hat, you like me to wear a hat, T-shirt, you want me to put your logo up, just DM me, man. Let's talk. Let's get it going. And listen, I'm not trying to break no banks here, man. This is a community, man. Let's rock this out and let's get everybody moving. COVID has hit a lot of people hard, and we are trying to strive forward, and we're trying to keep this fancy community tight. And again, a Philly community as well, sports community, I should say. But quarterback positions real fast before we go. I think there's a lot of interesting plays here. I do. Let's talk 5 minutes on the quarterbacks, then we're going to get out of here. We can adjust our lineups for the last 15 minutes, and we get ready. Listen, whether you're watching Scott Hansen on the Red Zone, whether you're watching your favorite team, whether you're watching the Birds, whatever it is, you can get ready, get that drink ready. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the drink ready, put my feet up, and I'm going to get ready to watch some football, man. I'm excited. I really am. Listen, Patrick Mahomes, we've seen the game he had. Deshaun Watson had some garbage time. Josh Allen, I'll tell you what. Again, Going by defenses, Josh Allen has every opportunity to put up a tremendous game today. It's going to be simple to see if he has worked on his accuracy and if he's going to use his legs a lot. I think he is. I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities to score both with his arm and his legs. I think Roethlisberger is a very intriguing pick today. Everybody expecting against the Giants. The Giants, they're still in it. Listen, they're transforming themselves out there with Joe Judge. And one thing I could say is with Joe Judge being in the New England system, he knows all about Ben Roethlisberger. But I will say one thing. Ben Roethlisberger, listen, he's ready to go. He's felt healthy. He's going to sling the ball around. So I think he's a really good play today. I talked about Phillip Rivers. I like him today. I don't like Drew Lock. I like Matthew Stafford. No Tyrod Taylor. I don't like Jared Goff. Listen, I know Dallas's backfield in secondary. They lose Byron Jones. They're not very strong back there. It's going to be a lot of shootouts, throughout Sunday. This may be one of them. But until Jared Goff shows me he's ready and that offense is fixed, I'm not putting any not putting any trust in him as well. Tom Brady, I no matter what anybody says, I love Tom Brady today. I think he will excel. One guy to look at, Joe Burrow. Okay, and here for any league that starts two quarterbacks, any league that needs, maybe you need a streamline pick. I picked up Joe Burrow. I'm in a league. I didn't realize, Sports Guy Mike Show, we're in a league. We have a great group of guys. I did not realize that it was two quarterback system, and that's on me. So I went and picked up Joe Burrow. And I picked up Joe Burrow and said, you know what? That team's going to be behind a lot. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot in garbage time. And against the Chargers, I'm not feeling it, man. I'm not. I don't think that I'm really worried about a tremendous defensive battle here. So I think today, Joe Burrow could be a sneaky play to get you a good 20 to 22 points at the quarterback position. But anyway, Jude, what's up, buddy? Checking in. Malcolm Brown, DeAndre Swift. I'm going Malcolm Brown because I'll tell you why. Earlier in the year, I love DeAndre Swift. Okay, I like that he's a pass-catching back. But right now, with the signing of Adrian Peterson, I think he's going to cut into some of that production I thought in the preseason was going to go over into the new season, the real NFL season. So I'm going Malcolm Brown because Hollywood Brown is going to be the guy. I think he's going to get a lot of targets today. I really see him getting the ball. Listen, you have to look at the defense he's going up against, right? Yeah, that's one thing. I always say that. Look at who he's going up against. Look at what their numbers were last year because it was abbreviated. There was abbreviated off season, obviously, and it's going to be an interesting year. So I really like Hollywood Brown. I don't think he's going to be a number one receiver, but Cleveland does not scare me from the defense. They don't. So I like him a lot. Amari Cooper or DK Metcalf. This is a very interesting question. Alec, I don't think you can go wrong with either guy, if that makes sense. I don't. I think Michael Gallup is the number one guy in Dallas. I do. I think Michael Gallup is the guy to own, in my opinion. I think, people don't realize, but Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper had averaged the same week-to-week fantasy production last year. The same. And Michael Gallup was 5 yards per catch higher than Amari Cooper. So Michael Gallup is that guy to stretch the field and go deep. They paid a lot of money for Amari Cooper. And DK Metcalf, listen, that Atlanta game, I love Seattle this week. I do. I love DK Metcalf. I love Tyler Lockett. There's nobody that scares me when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's good. You're talking about two games that, to me, are going to be tremendous shootouts. So if I had to lean towards anybody, I would lean towards Amari Cooper only because I really like the prospects of Dak Prescott being a MVP caliber player this year, especially when we talk about the fantasy perspective. He threw for 4,900 yards last year. And again, Mike McCarthy likes to lock in to one guy. So I think he will lock into Amari early. I think Gallup will be the better guy down the road. But I think if you're talking week one, I would go Amari Cooper only because I think Amari comes out and he mass produces tonight. And I'm still waiting to see in Seattle, is it going to be more of the Tyler Lockett show or more of the DK Metcalf show. Will Dissly comes back from injury. You still have the Chris Carson effect. There's a lot of mouths to feed out there. When we talk about, we talk about Seattle, they were looking and talking about Antonio Brown as well. So until I see it play out, I think DK is going to have a lot of good games, but week one, you stick to what you know. And I think I would go Amari Cooper for sure. I think he has a tremendous benefit as Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a ride, man. This is going to be a ride. It really is. I can't wait. I am so excited. I really am. I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm a very excited individual, but normally, if people don't know me, this makes me think. Listen, only scared because of Jalen Ramsey. I get it. But here's the thing. It's a good point. Jalen Ramsey wasn't locked down last year. Okay, Jalen Ramsey got beat a lot last year. He got paid a lot of money. I got it. And you're right. He probably will be on Amari all day. But remember, Michael Gallup's going to command attention too. So if Michael Gallup starts to get out and starts to go deep, I think that you're going to open up more possibilities from Amari. I think, like I said, I think that they're both going to be productive. I'm just going by who's throwing on the ball. That's what I'm going to go by. In week one, even though, listen, I love Russell Wilson. He is my DFS quarterback. But I just think that in week one, I'm certain that the targets are going to go to Amari Cooper. But you make a great point, a really good point. If Jalen Ramsey is Jalen Ramsey of 2 years ago, then I would be scared. But right now, Jalen Ramsey isn't the guy that I thought he was. I think he will develop back into that guy. And listen, like I said, I don't think you have – listen, we're talking a couple points here or there. Amari Cooper's not going to get shut out. Now, he may not score, right? Maybe Jalen Ramsey keeps him out of the end zone. Maybe you're looking at DK Metcalf to score, maybe multiple touchdowns, right? Alex, absolutely. Alex, always check us out, man. If you want – again, if the first time I'm hearing from you, I appreciate keep checking in. Follow us right there. You see all the accounts on the bottom. Fantasy Firebox episode every week. We'll be going live every Sunday at 12. Get ready till 12:45. So we got a minute left. We are on a downslide. But good luck. Alex, check in with me. Let me know how you make out. I am starting Amari Cooper in one of my leagues, and I'm starting DK Metcalf in another league. So that's what I'm saying. It's hard. It all depends on, what. Let me ask something else before you go. What's your scoring system? Are you a full point PPR? If you're a full point PPR, you may want to look at Amari Cooper. If you are a league that depends on touchdowns, you may want to look at DK Metcalf, because I think maybe DK Metcalf will turn into a guy. I mean, listen, I do my own projections, right? And I'm talking, a difference of 10 yards, and I have them both scoring. So we'll do. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Good luck with that. I hope you win some money today. Hope you win your league today, because that's what it's all about, right? About the bets. It's about the money. It's about fantasy. No PPR. That's interesting. See? Now, I'll tell you that changes my opinion right there. If you're going no PPR, then I would go with DK Metcalf. Because I think DK Metcalf is going to be the guy in the red zone for Russell Wilson, because of and there's nobody on Atlanta to be able to stop him. Amari Cooper is going to get consistent targets. He may not score, but he's going to get those 10 to 12 targets to give you that 8 for 90. But if you're only getting 9 points as opposed to 17, I think Metcalf I think he's more likely to score, in my opinion. And I think he may score twice today. I do. I think because that Atlanta team is not very good. So I think that has every makings of a shootout, like we talked about earlier. So good luck with that. Yeah. Listen, guys, you ask, as always, just like out there, give me your feedback in the sense of what scoring system you're using, because I base all my stuff on full point PPR leagues. But when you look at standard leagues and you're not talking about getting that full point PPR, that's tough, man. You got to go by touchdowns. You got to go by yards and touchdowns. And, listen, DK Metcalf, I told you, DK Metcalf can score. And you look on the flip side, Michael Gallup had more yards per catch than Amari Cooper. He doesn't put up the big yardage numbers. He just puts up the big catch numbers. So I would go with DK Metcalf and no PPR. But listen, we are up against it. 45 minutes, we went strong. Tremendous show. Appreciate everybody for checking in as always. Appreciate all the comments as usual. Follow, please, at Cutillo23, Fox Sports The Gambler, Heat Ratio Sports, Philly Influencer. Check me out Monday to Friday. Alex, as always, have a great Sunday. Go Pack, go! I like it, Pack fan. Hey, Alex, real fast before you go, I'm expecting big things from Alan Lazard this year. I like Lazard a lot. I think he's going to be a really good go-to guy for Aaron Rodgers. So I hope you think the same thing. But listen, Monday to Friday on the Daily Ticket 350, you can hear my segment, The Final Judgment, on Tuesday. And again, Jigsaw's Judgment every day, 9 a.m. on here on the stream, talking everything from Philly to national sports, giving that perspective for a good 20 to 30 minutes. So everybody enjoy your Sunday. It's a gorgeous weather out. If you can watch the game outside, do that as well. But most importantly, as we always say, stay safe and stay healthy. And everybody, good luck with your stuff going on forward.